is that from 1995 to 2002, that increased 48%. That's a lot. That's 118 million people on antidepressant drugs. And listen, I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not saying you're in sin if you're taking antidepressants. I'm simply saying this. Listen, some people need those. But I'm simply saying this, is that there is something broken when almost half of our country is on antidepressants. That's a problem with us. That's an epidemic. That is a poison in our culture. There's a book called Bowling Alone. It was written by a professor at Harvard Business School, and he studied a 25-year shift in how people hang out, and how people spend time with each other, and how people following the trends of how we hang out with each other. And he says this was some of the results of his study, is that playing cards together is down by 25%. And this is from 25 years ago, so think, early 80s. I think it's a few years old, so in between 80 and 85. Playing cards together is down 25%. Just playing rook or spades with your friends or whatever, that's down 25%. Evening with the neighbors is down 33%. So just some of you can't even fathom, who are you? I'm your neighbor. Get away from me. What are you doing crossing my borderline? Get away from me. I mean, some of you can't imagine hanging out with your neighbors. Well, that's down 33%. Family dinners are down 33% as well. So eating with your family, it's becoming a thing of the past. Having friends over to your house to hang out with them, down 45%. The readiness and the ability to make new friends is down 33%, meaning that we're increasingly becoming more apprehensive about initiating new friendships. That we're happy with the ones we got. We don't want to go to somebody and make a new friendship. Maybe they'll come to us, and they're over there thinking, well, maybe they'll come to me. I don't want to go to them. And so we're apprehensive about making new friends. The average American, this is another study, the average American has only 2 close friends, and that's down from 3 in 1985. Now you talk about depressing. You talk about some depressing. This is it. There are 6 billion people on the planet. 2 of them really like you. 6 billion people. You can get 2 of them. And that's down. You lost a guy somewhere in the 80s. He's gone. He doesn't like you anymore. So you're down to 2 people. Soon it's going to be you and your best friend. And then they're going to be gone. It's going to be you and the pet after that. So, I mean, come on. That is a depressing fact that we are losing our close friends. No longer do we have a group of friends. It's whittling down. So this communication that's at our fingertips, it's actually having the opposite effect somehow. And so I think maybe, I don't know, but I'm thinking maybe that the people in Philippi were going through a little something like this, because he emphasizes the fact that you need to be loved. You need to be in love with your friends. You need to be, your love for each other and your love for Christ needs to abound more and more. So here's point number 3. The antidote for loneliness is love. The antidote for loneliness, to counteract the effects of loneliness in your life and in this culture, is love. And listen, that's a love that will only be found in a relationship with Jesus Christ. Only He gives true love. This is not some puppy love that, I kind of like him, she likes me, I like her, whatever. This is a deep gospel partnership. So it's no longer just a marriage, it is a gospel partnership. It's no longer just a friendship that I have. We are partnered together for the gospel, and we are united around something bigger than ourselves. And friendships like that last. Friendships like that spread. The antidote for loneliness is love. So we want love to abound more and more with knowledge, finishing up verse 9, with knowledge and all discernment. Verse 10, so that you may approve what is excellent and so be pure and blameless for the day of Christ. Meaning, as your love for Jesus increases and your love for others increase, you're going to become more discerning about the situations that you find yourself in. You're going to be more discerning about temptations that may come into your life, because you're looking through your world now with God eyes. You're not looking through them with me-centered eyes. No, your life is in love with Jesus. Your life is about Jesus now. And so you're looking at circumstances, whether they be good or bad, through the lens of God. And now you see things in a totally different life. And now you can approve what is excellent and so be pure and blameless for the day of Christ. Last verse, and we'll finish with this. filled with the fruit of righteousness that comes through Jesus Christ to the glory and praise of God. All right, I'm going to finish strong here. Y'all ready? All right, we're going to hammer home a little systematic theology. I know you're excited and you're ready for this. Here we go. All right, you ready? Now, we are talking about an issue here that has been debated for thousands of years. Ever since the beginning of Christianity, 2,000 years ago, this has been a key divisive issue throughout the church. And we're talking about this. We're talking about the doctrine of justification. Doctrine of justification. There's a big theological word for you. That's free. And this is what doctrine of justification asks. It asks a question. Are you ready? How can I, as a guilty sinner, stand before God and not be condemned? How can I, as a guilty person, my sin has separated me from God. I'm guilty. Did you do it? Yes, I did daily. Yeah, I'm guilty. I'm a sinner. I cannot stand in the presence of God without guilt being on me. How can I stand in God's presence and not be found guilty? How can I stand in God's presence and not receive His wrath and His condemnation? That's the big problem. The problem is not how can God allow people to go to hell? The problem is how can me, being guilty, how can I stand before God and not be sent to hell? How can I stand before God and be found righteous in His eyes? And the answer, which he sees here, comes through Christ Jesus. Through Christ Jesus. That's how I can be found not guilty. This is what's called, there's another big theological word for you, imputed righteousness. There's imputed righteousness and there's imparted righteousness. We'll stick to imputed righteousness first. Imputed righteousness is this, is that Jesus takes my sin and He gives me His righteousness. He lived the perfect life on earth. He lived for 33 years. He never sinned. He never messed up. He never turned his back on God. He lived the perfect life, the life that I could never live. Yet He died the death of a criminal. He died the death that I deserved. I was the guilty one. He was the not guilty one, yet He died in my place. And so we have a great exchange. That's what Martin Luther, the great reformer, called it. He said there's a great exchange. And so the exchange is my sin is taken off of me. It's wiped clean. History, my slate is wiped clean. It's gone. My past doesn't matter anymore. He takes my sin, and in return, I get His perfect life. So when I stand before God, no longer does He see sinful JD who rebels constantly. He sees Jesus because His blood is applied to my life. And so He pays my penalty. He paid the debt that I owed, that I could never pay, and therefore I am found not guilty. Hello, are you seeing this? Not guilty. I'm in. I can stand before God. My guilt is gone. It's awesome. Hello, that's an incredible thought. We're not guilty. We're guilty, but because of what Jesus has done, we're not guilty now. We can live a totally different new life. And that's where we get to imparted righteousness. Imputed righteousness is simply that, is that I get the not guilty stamp on my life. And so at the end of the day, I get in. I'm in with the Father. I'm close. I get to live with Him forever. But there's even something better called imparted righteousness, which applies to me here on earth. Not only am I not guilty, but I also get a new life. That's what he calls the fruit of righteousness in verse 11. I get a new life. So we get the not guilty verdict and we get a new life, meaning I'm a new creation. I'm a new person. I've got a new heart. I've got new desires. No longer do I want to do the things that please me and please the flesh. I want to do the things that please God. And no more, I'm going to sin. I'm going to mess up. Even as a Christian, I'm going to stumble. I'm going to sin. But at my deepest heart root core is the desire to please Jesus. That's how you know if He's in you or not. Is it at the end of the day, what is your deepest desire? Is it to please yourself? Is it to make you famous? Or is it to please Jesus and to make Jesus famous? That's imparted righteousness. He makes us new. He gives us a new heart and new desires. I'm born again. I get a fresh start. Everything is different now. I'm no longer who I was in the past. That's because of Jesus Christ. His imputed righteousness pronounces a not guilty verdict on my life. His imparted righteousness gives me new life to live here on earth so that He is glorified through my life. And this is only true for those who have handed over the keys of their life to Jesus. Only true for those of us who have said, God, I'm sick of driving. I don't know where I'm going. I keep wrecking the car. I keep running it off the road. Here, you drive. And so